are dead. All my favorite people are dead. All my favorite people are dead. All my favorite people are dead.
Well, hello there, breathers.
And welcome back.
To another.
I'm at a loss for adjectives today. Fanciful.
It's
Footloose and fancy-free.
Footloose and okay.
Yeah, footloose and fancy-free. That's going to be my adjectives. Frolicking. Episode of All My Favorite People Are Dead.
She is Sue Teresi.
And this beautiful woman is Shannon Butler.
Stop it.
No. I love you.
I love you bigger.
I know. We're such babies.
I know.
If anybody knows Shannon and I, we are just like two little schoolgirls.
Who love.
Flowers and animals.
Animals, for sure.
And we go frolicking in front of Snow White's cottage, holding hands, putting flower chains in each other's hair.
Yeah, but if you mess with us, we will tell you to fuck off.
Oh, if you mess with my Shannon, I'll cut off your head and shit down your neck. Making flower chains and making cookies. Yes, and here we go. And you know what else annoys me other than everything and everyone?
What?
The alerts I get for weather. I just got an alert. There was some distant, what is it called? Thunder. Yes, we call it thunder.
Yes.
And some rain, and all of a sudden it's a tornado watch.
Yeah.
And it's a this, and it's a that, and it's a, oh my God. To the point where they do it with snow. And I don't know, when I was a kid, we had snow, and I don't like to say that, I walked to school 80 miles in the snow, but I did. Because we had no bus. We went to schools. I think it was closed like twice in my entire childhood.
Right, because you walked.
Because we walked in school, even if schools were not closed when I was a kid.
We closed all the time when he was a kid.
No, we didn't do that. And and then everything alarms you. A heat index. Yeah, okay, it's freaking hot. We understand.
Hot.
Okay.
We get it, yeah.
I grew up without air conditioning.
Yeah.
Okay, I know what a heat index is. To the point where they alarm you with killer bees and diseases. And because I know when COVID came out, they had thrown around the word pandemic several times with other things.
Sure.
All these other diseases. And now, when it was actually a pandemic, I remember saying to my husband, it's pretty much not a big deal. We won't hear about this in a week. Because I've heard of, I don't even know how you put it, Ebola, what I don't know, and Mercer, and again, the killer bees from outer space, and whatever else came out, and the stuff that was killing people on the cruise ship, and everybody, a third of the ship died. Now that we don't even talk about it anymore. Mm-hmm. So when this came out, I said, here we go again with the media sensations. And well, I was wrong on that one.
I was just talking to a guy the other day. We've been chatting. He works at a funeral home. And he was
people just dying to get his attention.
And he was telling me about like the what it was like during the COVID and how many.
Yeah, my friend is a doctor.
How many people he had to handle and the families and. Ugh.
My friend is a doctor. She said she was not prepared for that amount of death. The only time you get prepared, I think, is in battle, when you're out on the war.
You're expecting that.
Yeah, when you're expecting casualties. She said she was seeing the same.
Yeah.
The same lab result, the same everything over and over again with the lungs, over and over, that she would call me and be like, I am not prepared to deal with this level of death. Wasn't expecting that. I thought it was going to be, like explosive diarrhea, like, they just had with Taco Bell or whatever. And then it just goes away, So I don't know what to think anymore.
Speaking of explosive death, I wonder how many people have died in the Canadian wildfires because, like, I wasn't expecting. Yeah. I went on vacation in the Finger Lakes and the smoke, I could smell the burning when I was up in Geneva. And the sky was like, no, I didn't know. I had no idea that it was happening. I wasn't paying attention. I was just on a walking tour.
You were on vacation.
Yeah, I was checking out this historic mansion. And the next thing I know, I'm like, I can't see. Where does the lake is going?
My eyes bothering me.
And it was just wild. I was like, okay.
So I like the way Americans are complaining we have smoke.
Yeah.
The damn Canadians. There's wildlife fires.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's like
hello.
Some people are dying and losing all their property and home, and
you're worried. This happened several years ago because I remember the sky was orange.
Yeah.
Here it was. It was. There were parts even driving around here.
Yeah.
I felt like I was in the middle of a barbecue.
Yeah.
It was a little much, and of course I say yes, it's a nuisance, but I say where is this coming from, and how bad are those people?
Right.
What was the joke? Canada was trying to sage the U.S.
Sage the U.S. Yeah.
You know everything out of here. Thank you, Canada, for trying to sage.
I get that. We all could use a good saging right now.
I think the country can use a good cleansing. Yeah, why not? Yeah.
But it did make me think, as I'm sitting there trying to enjoy my vacation, I'm like, well, it doesn't matter, Shannon, because somebody's really suffering right now.
Right. That's scary.
Where you're just kind of inconvenienced and it's
exactly
smoky.
Yeah. You think of when you're driving on the highway and you're sitting in traffic for an hour and somebody turns to you in the car and goes, somebody better be dead for this kind of traffic. And, I'm like, well, what, you want to look for blood on the highway? I'm inconvenienced, yes.
But somebody
is not going home tonight for dinner.
Right.
It's how you look at it.
Yeah.
I'm inconvenienced. I can't, I feel my nose feels irritated, but people are in the middle of fires.
Right. Yeah.
It's terrible. God bless us all.
Yeah, seriously.
But they need to stop smudging. They really did.
So what are you?
So
I was going to do a podcast, but because when I was on my vacation, I stopped by the home of William H. Seward. That guy. And I was so inspired by the house, and then I visited his grave, because that's what I do. I visit graves.
That's what history nerds do.
Yeah. We go on vacation, we check out cemeteries.
We go to cemeteries with a pen.
Yeah.
Yep.
But then I got this book that's this thick on Seward. And I'm like, I feel like I need to do a proper podcast on him.
Take your time.
So I'm going to, do some real...
He ain't going nowhere.
No, he's
ain't
dead
back
for a long time.
Now, that's the Alaska guy, right?
Yeah, Alaska. Seward's Folly.
So, and I was at Alaska a couple of years ago, and I remember thinking that. Thank you, Seward.
Yeah.
Look what you gave us.
Well, my coworker saw me at the desk today. I had the book with me. He's like, did you get to Seward's Folly yet? I'm like, no, we're really early. We're still in the governor years. He's like, he was governor? Of what? I was like, New York. He's like, really? I didn't know that. I'm like, yeah, he's governor of New York. So anyway.
No, they just send regular guys to go buy new states.
Yeah, right.
It's Joe. Is Joe busy? Joe, what are you doing? Oh, I'm unclogging a toilet. Look, when you're done, can you go purchase a state for the country?
But the more I read about him, the more I'm like, this guy deserves a full, proper episode. Not just a half-assed episode. Yeah,
take your time.
So we're going to look for that in the future.
Yes. Yeah. Coming soon. To a podcast near you will be Seward, the Alaska guy. Who happened to have been governor.
And other things, yeah. But anyway.
Yes, mine is more footloose and fancy free.
You did say that, yeah.
I grew up dancing. I grew up, doing. I've always been physical with dancing and martial arts and of course yoga and all that good stuff. So I am not only a history junkie, but a old movie nerd.
I love old movies.
And I grew up watching. I know most. When I say dancer, who do you think of? Patrick Swayze or...
When you say dancer, I think of Gene
You do?
Gene Kelly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do too. But I go back. I grew up watching Ann Miller. I grew up watching, George and Marge and Gower Champion. I grew up watching... the real Sid Charisse. I grew up... Even Ray Bolger, right? The Scarecrow from The Wizard of Oz.
Okay, yeah.
If you watch that movie and just focus on him, just take a clip and watch his fluidity, the way he moves. It's like poetry in motion.
Sure.
I think we did one on Bob Fosse a while ago after I saw the show, because again, I'm a Fosse junkie. But I grew up, these are very underrated people. The Nicholas brothers, with two brothers. When you watch them dance, you swear they got slinkies in their shoes. I look at these two men and I'm like, how do you do that? He's flying. The rhythmicality, the everything, and they've inspired the new generations of tap dancers. So it was Fayard Nicholas was born in 1914 to 2006, and his brother Harold from 21 to 2000. They are widely considered among the greatest dancers in history, not just tap dancers. Their combination of rhythm, athleticism, elegance, comedy, and seemingly impossible, almost acrobatics, has never been duplicated. Okay. They were almost self-taught. They grew up in Philly watching black vaudeville performers from backstage while their parents played in theater orchestra. Thayer had learned by watching, and then he taught his kid brother Harold. This is how we dance. They developed their own style. It wasn't quote unquote just tap. It was a blend. It was like ballet and jazz and acrobat. They could leap over. They would. So there's this one scene I was telling you. There's a staircase, and one of them jumps up in the air and does a split on the stair. The brother comes behind him, jumps up, does a split on the stair in front of him, and they go down the stairs slinky like that, jumping up, doing splits and tumbling. I'm not describing it accurately. You gotta watch these guys. You go, holy shit, and they never miss a beat, and they're smiling, and they're fun, and it's insane.
Okay.
Their most famous performance is in the 1943 movie Stormy Weather. Okay. The jump and jive, see, you can jump jive, right? It is legendary. If you're going to watch anything, watch that scene. Okay. Jump and jive. It ends with them dancing down that long staircase, leaping over each other, landing in what I just described is that film. Okay. Even today.
Okay.
Dancers go, holy shit, how do you do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Critics will call it one of the greatest dance sequences ever filmed. They perform with big stars of the swing era, think Cotton Club, think Duke Ellington, Cab Calloway, Lena Horne, jazz legends, before going on to Hollywood and Broadway. So there's a story about Fred Astaire himself, right? Fred Astaire.
Uh-huh.
Okay. He reportedly said that their routine in Stormy Weather was the greatest movie musical number that he himself had ever seen. And that's really remarkable praise coming from somebody like Fred Astaire. Okay.
Yeah.
Their influence reached far beyond their own generation. Today's dancers and choreographers, including people like Debbie Allen, Gregory Hines, members of the Jackson family, admit that they've admired them and learned from them. And their style still continues to inspire tap dancers throughout the world in modern day. Okay. So they achieved all this during an era of racial segregation. In many Hollywood films, black performers' musical numbers were filmed so that they would be cut for screenings in segregated theaters. Nice, right? But despite those barriers, their artistry was so exceptional that their performances became enduring classics and helped reshape American entertainment. Their number is less than 4 minutes long if you watch it from Stormy Weather. And no matter how many times I've watched it, I go, how do you do that? And I rewind and play, and I just can't get it. It's dazzling. Okay, now their personal lives have, of course, their share of joy and heartbreak, like everybody else.
Sure.
Their parents were both musicians. Their mother, Viola Hardin Nicholas, was a pianist. Their father, Ulysses Nicholas, was a drummer and a band leader. So right away, they're coming out of a very musical family.
That makes sense.
They grew up in theaters. They were watching performers from the wings while their parents were working, which is what I said. Okay. That environment shaped their talent. Now, the older brother, Fayard, was quieter, more reserved, although on stage, electrifying.
Yeah.
He married several times over his long life. One of his later wives was Barbara January, with whom he shared happy years until she died in 1998. Then he married a dancer, Catherine Hopkins, in 2000. He converted in 1967 and became part of the Baha'i faith, which was, Baha'i is a religion.
Okay.
Yeah, and it became part of his life. He remained active well into his 80s, teaching and lecturing about dance. Sadly, in 2006, he suffered a stroke. He developed pneumonia and then died January 24th of 2006 at 91.
Well, that's a good long life.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
So friends and admirers described his memorial as a celebration filled with music and dancing and a final standing ovation for very, very deserving. A lovely legacy is that two of his granddaughters performed together at as the Nicholas sisters, carrying on the family's dance tradition. He's got two granddaughters. Now, the younger brother, Harold, had a more glamorous and turbulent personal life.
Oh.
He was best known for marrying this brilliant actress and singer you might have heard of, Dorothy Dandridge. Okay. They're married in 1942, and they were one of Hollywood's most celebrated black couples during an era where interracial and black entertainers faced enormous discrimination.
Sure, yeah.
They had a daughter. She was born with severe intellectual disabilities requiring lifelong care, and caring for her placed a tremendous emotional and financial strain on the family. And Dorothy's struggles with her daughter's needs became one of the many heartbreaks in Dorothy Dandridge's life. And she and Harold divorced in 1951. He married twice more. He had a son while living in Paris. His third wife was a former Miss Sweden and a producer, and shared the last 2 decades of his life with him in New York. Harold remained a performer until the end of his life as well. He died unexpectedly July 3rd, 2000, and only 79 after suffering a heart attack, which after a minor surgery. And that came to a shock to the dance world. Now, one of the nicest things about their story is that despite decades of performing together, there was never one of those famous falling outs, like when you hear in a band or something.
Right.
No.
They're brothers.
No. Sometimes brothers can't get along in a band, too.
That's true.
Or whatever. You work with a family member and it doesn't work.
That's true.
They remain deeply devoted to each other. Fayard often said that Harold wasn't just his brother, and his best dance partner. And Harold always credited Fayard as the teacher who showed him everything he knew. They remained very close brothers throughout their life, which is very charming and touching. What makes them so compelling is that they weren't just phenomenal entertainers, obviously. They lived through segregation, navigated fame, experienced marriage and loss, raised families, and still managed, with all of that, to leave behind one of the most joyful legacies in American performing arts.
I dig that.
It's crazy. Fayard was performing before he was 10, and Harold joined him when he was 6. Little babies.
Huh.
Audiences couldn't believe what they were seeing. And they weren't treated like a novelty act. They stole the show.
Yeah.
Gene Kelly, Baryshnikov, Gregory Hines, Debbie Allen, Savion Glover all speak with enormous admiration for the Nicholas brothers. Baryshnikov himself once said that he thought they were the greatest dancers that he had ever seen. Baryshnikov, who has a totally different style, but dancers, regardless of their style, recognize other athletes. One of the reason that people are still amazed is they performed also before modern safety measures, no harnesses, no editing, no CGI. If you watch the films carefully, the camera doesn't cut away during the difficult moves. It is them and only them. One of the sadder parts of their story is that segregation limited their careers because of racism in Hollywood. Studios often wrote that their performances they wrote them as self-contained musical numbers. Theater owners in the Jim Crow South, right, would literally cut the dance scenes out of a film, and it wouldn't affect the plot whatsoever. Imagine giving one of the greatest dance performances ever captured on film and knowing some audiences would never see it and it would be cut out because you're black.
That's fucked up.
I know.
Fucked up.
But they would never seem bitter about it publicly.
Yeah.
Despite the barriers, they generally spoke with a grace and a certain gratitude.
Okay.
They recognized discrimination. Look, who doesn't?
Sure.
But they were known for focusing on the joy of performing rather than dwelling publicly on resentment. And I think that says a lot about their character.
Yeah, it does.
Now, like many entertainers, there was a period when they weren't receiving the recognition they deserved. Beginning in the 1970s and in the 80s, there was a renewed appreciation for classic tap dance. Suddenly, young dancers were rediscovering them, inviting them to teach master classes, receive awards, and perform again, thank goodness. Mm-hmm. People think of them as serious, but they actually had a terrific comic timing, which is very unusual for dancers, right? Their facial expressions, the bits of playful competition with each other, and their effortless charm makes the audience smile as much as gasp. You can't help but be happy when you watch these boys. It's like contagious. Yeah. And they are. You could see their smile and they're playing with it. It's just playful isn't the word.
Okay.
So here's the story. Cab Calloway famously featured them in his act. Even surrounded by the greatest bands of the swing era, the Nicholas brothers would bring the house down. Mm-hmm. Okay? That's saying something because Cab Calloway himself was one of the most electrifying performers of his generation.
Sure.
And now here are the Nicholas brothers.
That must have been a hell of a show.
There's something beautiful about the legacy. In so many famous sibling acts, there's sibling rivalry, there's estrangement, but like I said, they spent more than 60 years dancing together, and by all accounts, remained not only close, but proud of each other, as brothers should be. They always acknowledged each other. So that's a lovely old Hollywood story. Now, when I think of the Nicholas brothers, they moved in the same circles as some of the biggest names in the industry, and many of those relationships were full of admiration, right? Like I said, Cab Calloway adored them.
Yeah.
He hired them when they were very young. He featured them regularly in his shows. Cab Calloway is singing in the Jump and Jive number. So, instead of feeling threatened, others celebrated their talents. Lena Horne appeared in Stormy Weather. She spoke about how great they were. Gene Kelly was famous for combining athleticism with dance. No surprise, he admired them. There's, which is the movie where he is in the middle of the two brothers, Gene Kelly. I remember the name of the movie now. I can see it. They have like these silly little hats on and they're wearing stripy shirts. Can't figure out the name, but anyway, that was another thing. I mean, Gene was, practically just keeping up with the three. It's just very charming. No gosh. Now, Fred Astaire wasn't a guy that handed out compliments lightly, but he loved them. And he really gave them like this really remarkable endorsement. Sammy Davis idolized them. Debbie Allen and Gregory Hines, really, it was just a great thing. I also wanted to get, now here's some trivia. Michael Jackson, when he was creating his own style, and later when performers like Savion Glover and the Nicholas brothers, their influence was everywhere. You can see the echoes of their precision and their rhythm and their explosive movements in generation of dancers, right? You want to study the masters. These are the guys you study.
Sure.
So, let's see what else we have here. They perform with people like I said, Duke Ellington, Count Basie, Frank Sinatra, and the other people that performed with them were not just their contemporaries, but their fans. So, Stormy Weather, here's the irony, is considered one of the greatest movie musicals ever made. But when it was released in 1943, many white audiences never saw that famous dance.
Right,
I'm telling you that, because theater owners in the South cut it out.
Yeah.
I can't wrap my head around that either.
Yeah,
they weren't flashy. They weren't known for their wild Hollywood lifestyles.
Right.
None of that. They often would refer to themselves as simply naturally gifted. They rehearsed endlessly. Every leap had to land exactly on the beat. Every split had to be perfectly timed.
That makes sense.
You know how hard that must be?
Otherwise, you might get hurt.
Yeah. Because behind the joy, there was enormous amount of discipline.
Sure.
Like I said, there wasn't much ego.
Honestly, that makes me think of a point. When you are disciplined to the point where things in your life just work out, that's when you're happiest.
Well, set your goal and you get your goal.
If you don't have that discipline to do the things you need to do in order to make yourself who you want to be, then you're going to be miserable.
You won't get it. So
absolutely, discipline, rehearsal, and making practice with the words that you say to put, to really put your money where your mouth is.
You can walk the walk and talk the talk.
And then the joy will come through.
Yes.
100%.
I agree.
Okay.
I concur.
Cool. All right.
If you watch them, watch their faces. They're smiling. They're teasing each other. They're having fun. Therefore, you're having fun watching them.
Absolutely.
They didn't want to look serious. It was really a very, very cool story.
This is not CGI computer animation.
No, none of it. This is the real deal. Yeah.
Yeah, this is when people were talented.
So let's talk about another talented guy, a guy you may or may not have heard of, Bill Robinson.
Okay.
He was born in Richmond, Virginia in 1878. His father died when he was very young. His mother died not long after, and he and his younger brother were raised by their grandma.
Okay.
They struggled financially. Bill later joked that he insisted on being called Bill because he thought it sounded like a tough name. By the time this man was a child, he was dancing on street corners to earn money. Can you imagine that? A kid dancing on street corners, passing the hat around.
That's fine.
Okay. Bill Robinson, better known as Bojangles. Bojangles, yeah. Many tap dancers kept their feet close to the floor. Mm-hmm. Not Bill. Mr. Bojangles introduced a lighter, upright style. His footwork was astonishingly clear and musical. Other dancers would watch him in the way that musicians watch Mozart. Would study Mozart, yeah.
I was going to say, you can't really watch Mozart because he's been dead a long time.
Yeah. One of his trademarks was dancing, again, up and down the stairs. You ever try it? I can't do it.
Honey, I can't even fucking dance. You know the guy from Best in Show? I have 2 left feet. No, really, I have 2 left feet. That's literally me.
Dancing is not easy. Don't get me wrong. No. But when you're going up and down steps and you're trying to keep a level change in your balance and your body weight,
I fall just walking up the stairs.
Okay, so you may not want to try this at home. No. He would make a staircase look like a musical instrument. Years later, that's where the Nicholas brothers took the idea. Okay, there's a little girl. You might have heard of her. She's this cute little girl. She had these curls. Her name was Shirley Temple.
Shirley Temple.
When she was about 6, she and Bill Robinson danced together in several films, including a 35 film called The Little Colonel. The staircase dance. Okay, now you're going to watch Jump and Jive, and you're going to watch The Little Colonel.
Okay.
Because you're going to watch this little girl with the curls.
I've seen that.
You know what I'm talking about? Dancing up and down with Mr. Bojangles.
I've seen that one.
Okay.
Did they cut that one from the film?
Well, in 1935, showing a black man and a little white girl dancing together as equals on screen was considered controversial in many parts of America.
I bet.
The studio took a risk. Okay. Shirley adored Bill.
Of course.
Years later, she said he treated her with the kindness and the respect and credited her because he credited him with helping her become a much better dancer. Okay. Yeah. He was incredibly generous to the point of sometimes being too generous with other people. He earned what would be the equivalent in today's money of millions of dollars, but he had a habit of helping friends, strangers' bills, lending money, and supporting fellow performances who had fallen on hard times. He was like a financial Santa Claus to the point where it bit him in the ass.
Dear.
Yeah. Because he also had expensive taste now. He liked fine clothes and expensive cars and the excitement of horse racing.
He lived the lifestyle?
Yeah. And by the end of his life, much of his money was gone. So not only did he like this, but he helped other people.
Okay.
So, you know how I said Fred Astaire admired the Nicholas brothers?
Sure, yeah.
The Nicholas brothers admired Bojangles. Yeah, okay. Yeah. That's like the family tree in tap dancing. There's Bill Robinson inspiring the Nicholas brothers inspiring today's, and so on and so on. And that's, from one generation onto another.
Sure.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Bill Robinson died in 1949 at 71 from heart disease. He had very little money left.
Oh.
Thousands of ordinary people lined the streets of Harlem for his funeral. Estimate 25,000 mourners came to pay their respects. Celebrities, fellow entertainers, neighbors, and children turned out. Now, this wasn't the funeral of a wealthy man. This was a funeral in Harlem.
Yeah.
Okay? It was the funeral of a beloved, generous man.
Yeah.
As an adult, Shirley Temple often spoke warmly about him, how he treated her professional, despite the fact that she was a little girl. Right. And he was always kind. And that was an industry where child stars often had difficult experiences. Not him. He looked out for her.
Yeah.
Now, I said to myself, and I looked this up, why Bojangles? What the hell does that mean?
Right, yeah.
Nobody knows.
Oh?
Nobody knows where Bojangles comes from. There were several stories. One says it's slang for someone happy and lively. He's a Bojangle. Okay. Another says it came from the vaudeville days. Nothing has been actually proven.
Okay.
But Robinson himself told different versions over the years, so the nickname remains part of the mystery of his legend. Children would often stop him and ask him to dance on the street when he got older. He would never say no. Oh. He would take a few steps, tip his hat, smile,
he started out by dancing on the street. So
yeah. Children would go home running, going, "You never guess who I just saw."
Oh.
Yeah. So I think it's a wonderful thing when you honor people worth honoring for the right reasons. Yeah. He wasn't just a dazzling performer. He's very layered. He was a complicated, generous, funny, but sometimes lonely man. During World War I, Robinson served as a drum major with the famous 369th Infantry Regiment, the Harlem Hellfighters.
Yeah.
He wasn't sent into combat, but he entertained the troops and became known for boosting their morale with his dancing and his leadership.
A good drum major leading a musical group can be super entertaining and
boost the morale.
And totally, but like, so when I was in drum and bugle corps, we used to always see this drum corps called the Hawthorne Caballeros. They're still around. They're very old drum corps. And the drum major at the time was this big, flamboyant guy who wore like a tank top and a cape and would just like dance. He had like this huge beer belly, but he would dance up on the thing and get the crowd dancing. And like, he was so great. I was almost as entertained by him, more so than the actual musical group. So yeah, a good drum major can make all the difference when you're watching a performance like that.
He also, of all things, I don't know where this comes from, he helped found the baseball team.
Oh.
In 1936, Robinson co-founded the New York Black Yankees, one of the teams in the Negro National League, because he loved baseball and he wanted to support black athletes who were excluded from the major leagues.
Okay.
Of course, he wasn't a real elected official, but in Harlem, he was known as, quote unquote, the mayor. People loved him. If a family couldn't afford groceries, if someone couldn't float their rent, if a kid needed medical expenses, if a funeral had to be paid for, Bill would quietly reach into his own pocket.
Well, I hope somebody paid for his funeral.
Police officers in Harlem reportedly knew they would ask Robinson to help a family in crisis.
Oh, wow.
His generosity became legendary.
Yeah.
Now, listen to this. He bought a traffic light. In his hometown of Virginia, in Richmond, children had to cross a dangerous intersection on their way to school. Bill paid for the traffic signal himself. He bought a fucking traffic light. Not because anybody asked him to, not because they put pressure on him, because he was worried about the safety of the children.
Yeah.
Today, there's a statue of him at that intersection.
Oh.
During civil rights, during that era, some people criticized Robinson for accepting roles that now seem kind of stereotypical. Okay?
Well, that was really early on in the civil rights movement.
Look, he was working decades before the civil rights movement, when opportunities for black actors were extremely limited.
Sure, you gotta take what you can get.
He pushed the boundaries, even within the constraints of that time period. So, people, it is. He gave away enormous sums, but he liked gambling, especially horse racing.
We all have our wants and needs, I guess.
But he couldn't stop helping people. Yeah. If someone knocked on his door, he would help, and he was dressed to the nines. He believed that appearance mattered. He was famous for his immaculate suits, his polished shoes, his hats, his gloves, and his perfect, typical gentleman.
Yeah.
Even people who had disagreed with him would always admire how dignified he carried himself.
Hey, sometimes if you carry yourself in such a way where, okay, maybe you're not dressed the best, but you're kind and compassionate.
He was both. He looked like he stepped off, magazine, and he was.
You're approachable. You can talk to people. You can connect with people. You can help people.
You're a helper.
Then that's what more can you ask for?
And he was well dressed.
And he's well dressed. The perfect package. And he can dance.
And he can seriously.
Fuck.
In 1989, Congress established the National Tap Dance Day on May 25th, which was Robinson's birthday. And every year, dancers across the U.S. honor him on that day.
Sweet.
Now, when he did die in 49, he had, like I said, very little money left. Yet Harlem responded as if a king had died. His body lay in state. Schools were closed so children could pay their respects. Tens of thousands of people came to honor him. It was a procession stretched through the streets with honorary pallbearers like Duke Ellington, Joe DiMaggio, Jackie Robinson, Bob Hope, and Irving Berlin. It brought athletes, entertainers, politicians, and everyday people whose lives he touched together. So Bill Robinson opened doors. The Nicholas brothers kicked these doors wider with breathtaking artistry. And dancers like Gregory Hines or Savion Glover made sure the world would never forget either one of them. So, one generation places a torch in the hands of another.
For real, yeah.
It really is. So I've watched these people my whole life, and I can't say enough about them. So, there you go. I mean, I was, the Jewish word for Jew is Yid. You'd like Yiddish. Yeah. So I used to joke around. I was the only Jew in my tap dancing class. So I would say things like, I'm the tap dance Yid. Instead of the tap dance kid. Yeah. That was just a joke. I don't know. But yeah, very, very inspirational. And there you have it.
I appreciate anybody who can dance because I definitely can
Teach you.
You saw me try to dance when we were.
I could teach you. That's okay. Were you having fun? Did you have fun?
Oh yeah.
So, it's a feeling. Just like I say about yoga.
Yeah.
Yoga is not about touching your toes. Yoga is about what you learn on the way down.
I like that.
And dancing is the same way. You don't dance, with your feet. You dance with your heart. Happy feet make happy faces.
I like it.
And there you go.
There you go, breathers.
All right. So that was a footloose and fancy free because I'm lacking adjectives today. Someone took my thesaurus.
Well, go dance like no one's watching.
Nobody is. Everybody's on their phone.
That's right. That's true.
Yeah, so no one 100%
cares. True.
Go shake your booty.
Yeah. All right, breathers.
All right. That was another footloose and fancy free episode of All My Favorite People Are Dead. Kick up your heels.
Bye, breathers.